Game is launching in less than 16 hours or even 12 hours whenever this video goes up. I think it's close to 12 hours already. So let's talk a little bit about rerolling and the best classes for free-to-play and spenders in Sword X stuff. There are a few things to mention here, so let's start directly with this short video from yesterday. Also, hello degenerates, welcome back to Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict. Today's topic, reroll and best classes for free-to-play and spenders in Sword X stuff. I think we're gonna start with the reroll guide because it's gonna be the shorter one out of the two. And I'm gonna be 100% honest, rerolling is useless in this game, and there are multiple reasons for this. First, there is only two classes for the first week, 2 weeks. You have your sorcerer. This is the amount of skills you can get. You have your warrior. This is the amount of skills you can get. There is not that many skills on either, and you will be getting hundreds of pulls. I have not used my premium currency to buy pulls, estelitas or whatever, I think it's called estelitas or something like that. I have never used my donium to buy them, and I've done already 1300 pulls, close to 1400. Guys, you will get all the spells. Also, really important, even if I say you will get all these spells, there is not that many early on that are really worth going for. Like, let's say you really want to reroll for whatever reason as a mage, right? You could be rerolling for Water Assault. Yeah, sure, it's a really good AoE, but you will be getting it for free, so why waste 2 hours? You could be rerolling for Mana Surge to have a nice source of crit rate, but again, you will get it on the second day or the third instead. And that's not the only thing. It's not like only the amount of pulls you get, it's also the amount of selectors. So on the first week of playtime, we're gonna be getting an event similar to this here, which is a beginner's event where you are doing missions every single day, and then when you complete them, you get rewards based on completion. And the last one, if I remember correctly, should be a selector as well for whatever you want. So that's the first one. The second is on the normal gacha, this one right here, after your first 200 pulls, you don't get these nice pulls. What you will get after your first 200 is a selector as well of your choice for a spell you want. So once again, you don't really need to be pulling for any specific spells or rerolling because you will get all of them. And then there is 2 more points on reroll and why it's useless. The first one, the servers are important. The server you pick is the people you can join in a guild, the people that will join you in co-op for raids, or even for the dungeons, or even for a lot of the content for the events. So if you want to play with your friends and you are re-rolling and their server is full, you cannot play with your friends. Just because you were rolling for a specific spell that you were going to be getting regardless of that same day later, right? So that's also an important point. And then the last point, and this is the most important one, it doesn't matter how much you min-max. The amount of dupes you need to max out the skills is stupid. Look at this, right? Look at this rainbow 8-star skill on the biggest wall. Skills will go literally from blue to purple, then to orange, then to yellow, then to red, then to the rainbow. It doesn't matter. Rerolling is a waste of time because they give enough pulls for you as a free-to-play to get everything to at least divine, and even later on you will get everything to at least red rarity as a free-to-play. I started getting most of my skills, and again, I don't even log in every day on this Chinese server, right? And a lot of them are divine already yellow. So you will be getting resources. I think rerolling is for everyone simply a waste of time. If you want to do it, obviously go for it. I would recommend, if you are a mage, the only 2 spells I can recommend are gonna be Water Assault and Mana Surge, nothing else. If you are looking for warrior skills, I didn't play a warrior on the Chinese server, so I cannot give you recommendations, but by the time this video is up, maybe in a few hours afterwards, Brightone should have already the guides up for you guys to check, so you guys can check it there directly. So that's for the reroll guide and why I heavily discourage people from doing it, alright? Now let's move into the classes and which ones are the best for spenders and free-to-plays. We can start with classes and spenders probably. So when it comes to spenders, it doesn't really matter what you play. We will be getting into the pros and cons for each class, but if you're a spender, anything you can play can be the top one in the server because it's not about the class, it's about how much you are spending, right? As usual with all of these games. The top 1, 2, 3 is literally a sorcerer right here for the top 1, a duelist for the top 2, and a knight, a tank for the top 3. And then you have 3 sages back to back, 4, 5, 6. then sorcerer, another knight, sorry, another duelist, sorcerer. If you're looking to be competitive, it doesn't really matter. What matters the most is who you are going to be playing with to have a good synergy on your party. That matters a lot more, right? So for whales, play whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. Before we go into the differences for the classes, also something important to mention is that it doesn't matter if you are a mage, a duelist, a tank, or a sage, you will need multiple loadouts, and we'll talk about loadouts tomorrow on the Sage guide, but you will need multiple loadouts for different situations. So you will need multiple pieces of gear as well to be switching between them. The two classes that can get away with just having one setup is the sorcerer and the duelist, but both the sage and the knight need to have two builds, unless you are playing purely an offensive sage and purely an offensive tank, which most people are not. So even in that case, regardless what you like, most classes will have multiple loadouts. Now, when it comes to which one is the best for a free-to-play player, I think there is two factors here. How much you can push under combat power deficit. Some enemies might have, let's say, 1.1 million combat power, while my character has only 800,000 combat power, right? In that case, the best class to push is going to be actually the duelist, because he's the one that can be dealing the most damage while keeping himself alive with some of the passives to finish the fights, to push more and more and more with enough damage. When it comes to the sorcerer, he has really good damage, but it is squishy. Until way later, when we get other passives for the mage, you are squishy. And even a sage with the healing spells can't push as much because you lack damage early on. Later on, when you unlock a lot of these AoE spells or erosion damage, it's a lot better. But early on, I will say both the sage and the sorcerer are quite squishy. The duelist is the one that can push the most, and the knight might be the slowest one early on in T2, but it's not an issue. Like, it's not like, you know, a fight taking a minute 30 instead of 50 seconds. It's gonna change anything for most players, so I think it's not even an important thing. But like I said, those differences do exist. You will be needing to worry about more stats if you are a sage or a knight, in contrast to being a duelist or a sorcerer that can just go pure DPS build. But even then, a lot of people who are gonna be playing a mage or a sorcerer, they want to have different builds. They want to have a light build, they want to have a fire build, they might want to have a hybrid one. So a lot of people will need multiple loadouts. Don't worry too much about that. So TLDR, guys, you literally can play what you like. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, Sefhi, you're making a 10-minute video japping about this to say that you can play anything, but yes, you can. That's the thing with this game. There is 250 plus skills or whatever it is. You do not need to be playing anything specific because it's gonna be based on the tiers. Maybe on tier 1, duelist is better. On tier 2, sorcerer starts picking up. On tier 4, when you get there, you have the sage doing a lot of really good damage for the erosion, and also the tanks now finally have good ice builds, water builds, right? So it's like, it depends on the tier and what you're doing. Someone who is at the top of the meta on the next season might be at the bottom simply because of the changes and the new classes. So pick a class you like and stick with that. Also, after level 100, you can switch classes once a week. Don't worry too much. I wouldn't recommend it because the system changes quite a bit. But we will talk about switching classes on a different video and explaining the system at full for new players when the game launches tomorrow. That said, enough japping, enough ranting. We're gonna be live tomorrow playing the game when it launches. Feel free to drop by if you're interested in checking progression on day 1. And as usual, good luck with your pool dinner rates, and I'll see you on the next one.